Hello tacticians, it's Nox here, and today we're going to be having a little look back at the faction tournament arena and have a little talk about how it went, the factions that were involved and any lessons that I had learnt along the way. But before I go into all of that, I just want to say my usual thank yous, and today they go to Sandak, Nathaniel, Doffy Sama and Minor PL. All of you have used my friend code and it is very much appreciated, as it really does help me out. So thank you once again. So first and foremost, how did I do? Well, it's there on the screen. I've done very well for myself indeed, and I came in, unlucky for some, number 13. And a fellow content creator, Nel Shiare, also came in number 17. So congratulations to them as well. And of course, let us not forget the three in the top spots. And I certainly hope I'll be hearing from you in the messages below. So who did I use? Well, I used the Orks. I called them out as a possible go-to, and I played one game and really enjoyed them. So I carried on playing, and in fact I only played Orks during the tournament arena, and I faced a lot of Orks and played a few others as well. But it is amazing how much their rework has improved this faction. I'm not going to say they're the best faction or indeed the easiest to use, as you still need to think about how to work with them, and I'm going to go through that in this video. Or if you really want to know more about Orks, Tech Priest Fred did a great deep dive into them. There were a couple of factions that surprised me. Eldari did far better than I would have imagined, and also one of my guildmates only used World Eaters and managed to come in 52nd, which I must say, hats off to him. Very well done indeed. I think World Eaters could well be one of those teams to keep an eye on in the future when they get their 5th. And whilst I'm here, I think everyone will have to keep an eye out for the Blood Angels. I think that team, even with 3, is going to be very scary indeed. So here we are on the test server, and what makes the Orks so great? And I've set this up so that we can actually see some of the dangers that the Ork possesses. So with Golgorts picking up a health power-up, he actually becomes very tanky indeed. Let's put Rayvas here and summon in some drones. We're not going to move anyone else. You'll see that I can charge into Rayvas, and Golgorts survives. Now, obviously you combine this with the rest of the setup and you can see why the Orks with this particular setup are very scary indeed, as we get to completely ignore that Overwatch. And what if we do the same with the Eldari? Well, let's have a look. There you go, we've got the Overwatch. We're going to charge into, let's say, Calendus. And again, it's fairly successful. I did actually have it so that a charge failed when I did this in the live tournament, as they had Eldrian within 2 as well. And that extra damage just tipped it over the edge to kill off Boss Golgorts on that charge, which did lead to me losing that battle. And there is one other trick that you can also do, which involves Tank Smasher. Again, let's just skip back to the Orcs' second turn. And this time, if you charge Tank Smasher in, you can pick up a power-up along the way. Now, obviously, wasn't enough to save him this time, but if there was only one Overwatch shot, you could see he could have got through. Now, obviously, this is a setup scenario. The Orks are not always going to be able to get hold of that health power-up. It's not always going to be on this map. I'm just showing you that if you are in this scenario, these are the sort of things you need to watch out from the Orks. And as we're talking about power-ups, all the Orks really benefit from the number of hits power-up, the melee hits power-up, and of course damage, but so does everyone. But why Orks in particular? Well, that comes down to their get stuck in trait. As for every 2 hits this unit scores with an attack against an enemy within range 2, it has an additional chance to score an additional hit. And if there are 2 or more friendly Orks that are adjacent to the target, it's going to be increased. So all of this attack just builds up. So you really don't want the Orks picking up those power-ups, as it really does combine well with what the Orks want to do. Get into combat with a bunch of Orks surrounding them. So what can you do about this? Well, again, let's take the Eldari. They were a popular choice. Always use your danger zone. That's going to tell you where the Orks can get to, and I don't think enough people do this. I saw far too many people just going, oh look, a power-up, I'll just go and grab it. But put yourself into a position where maybe you can get a power-up next turn, so that when the Orks move in, you've got a power-up you can use against them. And it obviously depends on what sort of Orc player you're playing against. Some are going to be impatient and they will just run forward to go, hey, I've got a power up here, I've got a power up here, and so on. And this is really just suiting what you, as an Eldari player, want. Because just look where Golgot's is. As an Eldari player, you can now really hammer home as you can surround and do loads of damage to Golgots. Now, without Golgots, they won't have that initial burst damage. Yeah, they're still going to charge in and they probably will do some damage, but you've already got rid of a good portion of their strength just by getting rid of Golgots because they are being impatient. But let's say they don't charge forward. Now, instead of charging forward, they're going to be a bit more cagey. They're going to see where you can go and they're going to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to put him over here because if you want Tank Smasher, fine. He's moved. He's going to be fairly tanky. And I've got a shield power up. That's quite good. And I'm only going to move forward one. I'm not going to come all the way forward. And in fact, I'll shield Golgots with a Gibberscraps. What do you do in this scenario? So they have edged forward. And as the Eldari player, you have to do something. But that's what Calendis is there for. We can certainly run in and run back. But we're probably also going to have to do something with Morgan Ra just to make sure that they die. So let's do that first. And to be honest, I should have put a Thana up there as well. So let's see. Will this get rid of Golgots? And it can. So even without prioritising the power-ups, you can still do something. And you've got, say, Jane Zard to pick one up and Eldrian you want to keep out of the way because you still don't want someone like Tank Smasher to run through everything. It's going to be a closer match from this point on. Maybe the Eldari still don't win. But you have to be cagey, you have to use the environment to your advantage. And by all means, Calendis is still there, he's used his ability, run away. He is one of your biggest strikers, make use of him. You might lose Morgan Ra and Athana, but I think that's a fair trade to make sure the Orcs are now in a worse position than they were before. I'm not going to go into detail about everyone facing the Orcs and exactly what you need to do. Hopefully with the Eldari you got the idea. The one I'm interested in is the World Eaters. As I said, I had a guildmate get to 52 using these, and he said he played aggressively, grabbing the power-up and letting the Orcs come to him. So let's give that a go. So let's put Azkor there, we'll put Khan one side, Mesa, Angrax, and of course put Rask in the middle, as it will give them all shields. Now, I can imagine in this sort of circumstance, the Orc player going, I'm within range, let's charge in. Whoa, okay, well, that's how good Tank Smasher can be. He just killed off Khan. So, apart from what just happened to Khan, the World Eaters are not in the best position. Let's just put someone here for an extra shot. So what can the World Eaters do? Well, we can use the Overwhelming Wrath and see what happens here and taunt them all. And I think we'll put Mesa here, Rask here, and obviously just kill this guy off. Because again, we get shields. And maybe put in Angrax to hit these two. And let's not forget Mesa. We'll just hit normally, I think. So now these guys have already attacked. Let's bring him round. Let's take out Mesa. And so there's a bit of a melee going on in here, and the World Eaters have now only got 3 characters left, so I'm not sure how we're going to come back from this. But let's try. That certainly helped. Another death. I'm starting to see how the World Eaters... Wow, okay. That's actually quite impressive. And I'm guessing it's really down to a mixture of Rask with his Wrathful Devotion and giving the Chaos Shields. And of course, Azkor, who has got his Beacon of Rage that increments the World Eater's damage. Very interesting indeed. So all what I'm really saying is, for the Orcs facing World Eaters, Don't charge in when you have the opportunity. Make sure you play just as cleverly as people need to play against you. And for the World Eaters, I think once they get a 5th, or in the hands of a player who really gets them, I'm certainly not, they're actually going to be quite good. And I think that's a really good thing. I am really looking forward to when this faction tournament arena returns. I haven't had this much fun in the tournament arena for ages, and this was a breath of fresh air. And I also think, whilst I'm on this point, that the number of points you need to get to the final chest should stay at 150. I think that's part of the fun. People were able to get that, and they carried on playing because, well, it was more fun than normal. And I'm going to try and highlight each faction as the weeks go on, both how to play as them and how to play against them in preparation for the next faction tournament arena. And I really want to hear from all of you lot and about your experiences in the tournament arena and what you think could be changed, or your favourite faction, and of course the tactics that you used. If you like these videos, then it would be much appreciated if you at least think about using my friend code, as it really does help me out. Or if you or your guilds are looking for a new home, please reach out to any of the guilds shown, as we'll always welcome new people into our midst. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.